Hey everybody, Chris Leder here. I'm going to do a quick walkthrough on how to play City of Gears by Gray Fox Games. This is the Founders Edition, so it's got a lot of bells and whistles that the retail version might not have, but the gameplay will be pretty much identical to what you see here. Okay, so what I've done is I've set the whole game up for 2 players. So you're set up on opposite sides of the city. You have your factory board. 3 of your workers are set up, ready to go. 3 of them are laid down, 1 each in each of these spots. You get 3 dice to begin with, and 1 die sits over here in the supply. It'll be unlocked later. You'll also have all of your ownership markers here. In the middle of the table, between the factories, and if there were more players, they would sit on the edges as described in the rule book, but you'll shuffle up all of the city tiles that are in the box, and you will lay out 9 of them in a 3x3 grid. And then on top of each one, you're going to put one of these discovery markers worth 2 prestige, which is the victory points at the end of the game. We have the gear bag full of gears here. We set the gray die, which is used for certain tiles, and these opening day cogs, they go to the side, and they're not used right away, but they'll be added into the game later. Over here, we have the different resources. This is movement, this is gears, this is steam, these are zaps, and then you have prestige over here. In the standard version of the game, instead of these wooden pieces, they are punch-outs like these, but you'll set those things to the side. So each player has their factory set up. The board is all shuffled up randomly and ready to go. The gear bag is ready, and the game can begin. So whoever's the first player doesn't start with anything. So let's say that the red player is the first player. The second player will actually get 1 prestige to begin, and the prestige you get is face down so that no one can see it until the end of the game. If there was a 3-player game, the third player would get 1 prestige and 1 movement, and if there was a 4th player, they would get 2 prestige and 1 movement. So you get a little bit of a bonus if you have to go a little bit later. But here we go. We start. If the red player is going to go first, they take their dice and they roll them. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to produce resources by rolling the production dice. So I roll these dice. Now, based on what I rolled, and here I got 2 steam and a gear, I can now do things. Steam is used for movement, so the steam can move your workers. The gears are used to draw the cogs out of the bag. And these can also be used for certain tile effects. When you start to open up the city, there will be things you can do. The other side that exists on here, there's a split side that has both steam and gears. And then there's also a zap side that allows you to do some cool stuff. But with this roll that I just have here, I got 2 steam and 1 gear. Now, one thing I should say is everyone has their converter at their factory. That gets slotted in at the beginning. You can always change 2 of your resources to any other one. So I could change these 2 steam to a gear, or I could change them to a zap. But right now what I really want to do is I want to connect my factory to the city using these empty spots right here. And I have 1 gear to do that, and then I have 2 potential movement. If I change that, I'd be able to draw 2 gears if I change these 2 to a gear. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this 1 gear. I'm going to reach into the bag. I'm going to draw out 1, which says on this side I can double the link bonus double 1 link bonus that I collect, which we'll be doing later. So I can use that as a development and put it right here at my factory, or I can use the other side to connect my factory to the city. That's a pretty cool development, but I think right now I really want to connect to the city. So I'm going to put that there. I'm going to put one of my ownership markers right here to show that this is mine. So now I've connected my factory to this tile. This is the only tile I can connect my factory to because it's got these here. But I can't do anything yet because my workers haven't gone there. So I've spent this 1. I have 2 steam left. So I'm going to use this 1 steam to move this worker to that spot. So when I move there, I get to reveal this. So I earn the 2 points for discovering this. That goes here. And then I get to flip this tile. So I flip it over, and I have discovered the galvanic mill. Ooh, this is an industry tile, and you can tell that by this little icon right here. It has the ability later where if I have a worker here and spend a steam and a gear, I can gain a zap and a prestige. At the end of the game, whoever owns this is going to get 3 prestige. So ownership will matter at the end. The other thing is there's a link bonus that will matter later, and that will give me a steam if I activate the link bonus. We'll get to that in a minute. But anyway, I moved this worker here, and that's good. Now I have one more steam. Now I can do a couple things with this. I could change this into a resource of steam, and then I could stick it right here in my factory for a later turn, or I could spend it right now to move another one of my active workers over here. And I think what I'm going to do is just do that. So I'm going to move this to move this guy over to here. So now I have 2 workers out in the city. I can get more workers later by spending prestige. From left to right, I can spend 2 to get this worker, 4 to get this worker, and 6 to get this worker. So I could spend this one over here, but I'm going to hold on to that right now. So my turn is over. I rolled my dice. We'll move these off of here. I rolled my dice. I could activate city tiles, but only if I have workers. So when I put these workers out here, I can't activate because I've already skipped to step 3, which is to perform actions. Move workers, draw gears, do these other things. So you can't go back and activate city tiles after you've moved your workers. You have to activate the tiles before you do anything else. So I'm all set for next turn, though. I will be able to activate this on my next turn because I do have some workers here. So anyway, we're going to skip over here and go to yellow. And now it's yellow's turn. So they are going to take their dice and they're going to roll them. And they have gotten themselves a steam, a split die, and a zap. So they've got some cool things that they can do here. The first thing that they're going to do is to draw a gear because they really kind of want to connect as well. But you know what? Yeah, that's what they're going to do. No, they're going to be a little crazy. They're going to be really crazy. They are actually going to change these 2 dice into a gear using, again, the converter that everyone has. Change 2 resources to any one of your choice. So they're going to make these 2 into 1 gear, and there's another gear here. And the reason they're going to do that is that lets them draw 2 gears from this bag. And when they do that, they're going to get these 2 right here. Let's see what we got here. This one says you can roll up to 2 fewer dice to gain 1 prestige for each one you don't roll. And this one says you can take 1 stored resource from an opponent and then give them one of yours. So the stored resources are the ones that go in here. That's very interesting. I think I'm going to... So here's what you can do. When you have multiple gears, you can always place 1 per turn as a development to go into your factory here, and 1 as a gear link over here. So now I have a choice to make. I have to choose one of these as a development. I think I'm going to choose this one as my development so that I can choose to roll fewer dice to get points. And then I am going to use this one to connect my factory here. So now they have a link. Now here's the problem. They're out of dice. They don't have any movement. So they cannot flip this and they can't get the discovery token, but they are set up for next turn. So they're okay. They're happy with what they did here. Mecho Corp. That's what they're going to do. So now we are going to come back over here to Steambot Industries. Raise. And it's now time to go again. So we start by rolling the dice. Oh, that's a lot of steam. So I got a gear or a steam on this one, and I've got a steam and a steam. So the first thing we do after we produce the resources, we activate any city tiles that we want. So we could, yeah, I think this is a good idea right here, actually. We could do a steam and a gear and activate this to get some points and 1 point and a zap. So, yeah, let's do that. So we will use these 2. One is the gear and one is the steam, because you can't use both, only one. And we will activate this tile. And you can only activate a tile once per turn. So one of my workers and these 2 resources now will gain me 1 zap and 1 point. So I will get 1 point, which I put face down here, and I will get 1 zap, which I will put here into my storage area. And I can use that immediately, or I can hang on to that. This one is 1 steam, this one is 1 gear, this is a zap, and then this is a wild. You can use that as anything. And this is movement, and you can have as many movement as you want. So I'm going to use this steam now to move this worker out and come here. All right, so I should say, when I activated this tile, if I was connected to other tiles, I would then chain react across them as many as I have links for, and I would get the link bonuses for all of those. But since I'm not connected to anything else, there's not much else I can do. So I've used everything. I did gain myself a zap for later. Zaps can be used to, if there's someone else from the other player on your tile, you can use a zap to knock them off. If you have 2 zaps, you can actually destroy a gear link from another player that's connected to you. Or you can use a zap as a rapid transit, and you can go across any number of your gear links to different tiles using 1 zap. But right now, the city's not so much discovered. So we will now come back over here, and it is Mecho Corp time. So they are going to take their dice and roll them. All right. So they got a zap and they got some movement. All right. So what we're going to do, no gears. Interesting. All right, well, first things first. We are going to use a movement for one of these dudes to come across from here to here. So that will get them this discovery token, which will go to the side. And they will be flipping this tile over to discover the Athenium. So the Athenium is a science tile. If you have a worker here and you spend a gear, you gain 1 prestige for every 2 developments at your factory. So you have 1 development to begin. They have another one right here. So they actually have 2, which is kind of nice. It's worth 3 at the end of the game. And if it's part of a gear link chain reaction, it's going to get you a movement token. So that's what's going on. One of my guys did move across. I'm sorry. One of Mecho Corp's moved across there. So that's good. Let's see. All right, so they've got a zap and they've got a steam. They're going to actually convert those 2 into a gear so that they can reach into the bag and draw 1. So they're going to draw this one right here that says, gain 1 movement whenever you build a gear link. So whenever you build one of these, you would get a movement. But you know what? This yellow guy wants to spread the love. So what he's going to do is, he's actually going to move across this way. He's going to build this connection. Sorry, he's not going to move yet. He's just going to build a connection here so that hopefully he can reveal this and steal these 2 points from red on the next turn. Because now I'm out of dice, and that's it for Mecho Corp. So now we go whoosh, back to Steambot Industries, and we're going to roll. And we're looking to get some gears. All right, here we go. This is more like it. Okay, so the question is, do we want to activate this again? And the answer is no, not this time, because we need to get some connections going. So we're going to spend both of these in order to get 2 gears out of the bag. We're going to reach in here. We're going to draw these 2 right here. So this one says, once per turn, you can use a gear, spend it to get a point. So we could have just put one of these dice over here and just got a point out of it. And you can only do that once per turn. And then this one says, gain 2 prestige if the same resource appears on all of your dice. So that's kind of an interesting one. So remember, I can use one of these as a development and one of these as a gear link. I cannot place 2 different gear links. You can only do it as 1 and 1. So I think what I'll do is, I actually like this one. We're going to make this. So if I get the same resource on all of my dice, that'll be cool. And then this one is going to become a connector, and we're going to be mean. We're going to put this here and put an ownership marker on it. There we go. All right, so we've connected. Now, what kind of die do I have left? I have a zap. Actually, I have 2 zaps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this zap in order to move a worker. And I think actually what I'm going to do, I could move one of these workers across to here for 1 zap. But I think what I'm going to do instead, I'm going to spend my 2 prestige discovery token, put that aside, in order to activate this worker, bring him here, and then when I use this zap, I'm actually going to rapid transit this guy across this one, over to here, because a zap lets you go across any number of gear links and go here and steal this one away from yellow. So this guy's going to hang out over here. I get the 2 points back that I just spent for the worker. I put that here. And then I get to flip. And this is the Ether Dynamo. Put my little dude here. Ether Dynamo is a industry tile. And it says, if you spend 1 zap and you have a worker here, you gain 2 prestige for each industry tile your workers occupy, including this one. So on a future turn, if I use a zap, kind of like the one I have in reserve, I will get 2 points for occupying this space and 2 points for occupying this space because it's another industry tile. So this is a great engine building tile, and it's smack in the middle of the board, so who knows how many more red ones there are in here. This could net a lot of points for someone if they get their workers on a lot of red tiles. So, all right, so we've done that. I have no dice, so we go over to MechoCorp. MechoCorp says, all right, you stole that away from me. Let's see what I can do to you. So they've got a couple of gears that are also steam, and they have 1 steam. Okay, so, well, they could have been doing this too. Roll up to 2 fewer dice. They don't want to do that. They want points. Or they want dice. They want resources. So I'm going to spend these 2 in order to draw 2 gears. And the gears I draw, this one says I can spend a zap to get 2 points. Once per turn you can do that. And this is an endgame one. Endgame, gain 1 prestige for each movement in your supply over here to a maximum of 6. Well, I kind of like this because who knows, maybe I won't need a zap someday. And this one I am going to use to connect, I've already connected there. I'm going to connect here. Put a ownership token on it. And then I have 1 little cloud, 1 steam left. So I'm going to move this dude from here to here and see what I have. Whoops, I forgot to grab the discovery marker off the top. So I get this. And I've discovered the Scalarium. It's another blue science one. For 2 steam, you get a development. This is a development, which means you can reach into the bag, pull a gear out, and use it as a development at your factory. And it's worth 5 at the end of the game. Gives you 1 as part of your link bonus. So, all right. Well, this guy moved to here. All right, so that's where we're at. No more dice. So we come back over here. Now we're starting to get into some fun. We got some things going on. Got to remember what we've got going on here and here. But here we go. We're going to roll these dice. All right, so we got some steam. We got 1 gear, but we also still have this zap over here. And we're going to use that right now. We're going to use this 1 zap right here with this worker. We're going to discard it to the supply to activate this. Gain 2 prestige for each industry tile your worker occupies, including this one, or your workers occupy. So we get 4, so we're going to get a 3, and we're going to get a 1. And we'll flip these over and put those over here with our other ones. Hooray. And we're not going to activate this one over here, the galvanic mill. So now what's going to happen is we've activated all the tiles we want to. Now comes the chain link bonus. So we activated this one. So what we could do is we could put this here to say, hey, that's been activated. And now this one has not. So it chain reacts over here and we get whatever bonus is right here. which is a steam. So we take a steam from the supply, and we put it right here, and we remove this to say, all right, okay, that's cool. We already activated that. That's all nice. So that's what happens when you activate tiles. If I'd activated this tile, I would not get the link bonus. And I would, if I activated this one and I didn't activate this one, then I would do this effect, and then I would get the chain link bonus from this. But because I activated this one, I don't get this link bonus because I activated it, but then it chain reacts here and I get this one. Now, if I'd connected to all of these, I could chain react and get the bonuses from all of them. So it's important not only to connect, but also to activate and choose which ones you want to activate and which ones you want to use for the link bonus. All right, so I activated that. So I've activated tiles, got my link bonus, and now it's time to perform actions, because now I've still got all of these, and I've got a steam sitting here. So I am going to convert these two steam into a gear. So these two become a gear, and this one I'm going to use as a gear as well. And I'm going to draw 2 out of the bag. I got one that says you can use both resources on a split die. So if I had a result like this, I could use both. Okay. And then this one says I could spend a gear to get a movement token. Well, I'm going to use this one right here because I like that one a lot. And then this one I'm going to use right here, and I'm going to put a ownership marker on it. And I still have this steam hanging out over here, so I'm going to use that to move this guy across. So I'm going to get 2 points for this. I'm going to flip this, and I've found the Midway Fun Park. All right, so the Midway Fun Park is blue science. Its chain link bonuses, you can get either a steam or re-roll any number of dice you haven't used yet. You can also use it when you have a worker here. When you activate tiles with a zap, you get to roll 1 die, and the die that you roll will be this gray one over here. This is the neutral die. And if you get any of these specific results, you will get amounts of prestige, which is nice, and it's worth 4 at the end. So I found that one, so that's nice. And this guy moves across 2 here because I used the steam to do that. I'm out of dice. I'm all out of dice. All right, so we're going to come over here. It's Mecho Corp time. All right, so Mecho Corp, they are going to roll their dice. They're feeling a little behind the 8 ball, but you know what? Let's see what we can do. All right, so we got a zap, a split, and this. They're going to right away use their zap with this to get 2 points, because they're hurting for points a little bit. So they're going to get 1 and 2, and they're going to put those over here by their stuff. And that's good. And then, you know what? We're still in the activate tiles because the developments you can do anytime. So we're still doing activate city tiles. This one requires a worker and 2 steam. So I'm going to use these 2 as steam to activate this one, which gets me a free development. And I drew, let's see, gain 1 prestige when one of your workers is destroyed. All right, that's not so bad. Okay, so we got that. And so here comes the chain reaction. So I activated this one. Now we go across the yellow to this one. You don't have to have a worker here, just across here. That's going to get me a movement. And then look, I can continue to chain react because I have this here to this one, which is going to give me another movement. So I am getting 2 movement tokens out of that. Hooray! So now I'm done activating my city tiles. I had spent all of my dice. I should have been done with my turn. But because I did the chain reaction, I got the link bonus, I now have 2 movement. So guess what? These 2 little yokels over here, I'm going to spend these 2 movement. 1, 2. And I'm going to move these 2 guys to here. I feel pretty good about that. I also could have moved just one of them 1, 2 spaces if I wanted to, but I feel pretty good about this. All right, so I've skipped ahead just a little bit because I want to show you what happens towards the end game. Okay, so let's pretend that MechoCorp here just came across here and they unlocked the last of the city tiles, the opulent gardens over here, okay? So they just flipped this and they did that. They used their dice and everything. Once the entire city is revealed, all 9 tiles, a couple things happen. First off, these 4 opening day cogs go into the bag immediately. All right, which means that when you draw, you might get an opening day. If you draw an opening day cog, you put it aside and you redraw a different one. And if 3 of these come out, the game ends immediately. No matter where you are in the turn, if you draw the 3rd opening day cog, that's the end. So that's the first thing that happens after the entire city is revealed. Second thing is, everyone gets their extra die because your production ramps up. So yellow gets theirs and red gets theirs. And because it's yellow's turn and they were the one who opened up the last city tile, they actually get to roll that die immediately and add it to their dice pool and continue from there. So they get a little bonus. So that's what's going to happen. And then let's say that we continue to play and all of those white, 3 of the 4 white opening day tiles get drawn. If there's 3 of those out here, the game ends immediately and then scoring begins. So scoring works like this. First off, all of your discovery tokens and all of your prestige that you've received, you count those up. And then, in order to score tiles, what you look at is, you look at the number of workers and gear links connected to the tile. So in this case, it would be 2, yellow would own it, and they would get 3 points. Now, if you look at something like this one, we've got 1, 2, 3 versus 2, so yellow owns this one. If there were a tie, so in this case right here, let's say yellow wasn't on here, and let's say, well, that would be not a tie. So this is a tie right here. This is 2 to 2. 2 yellow, 2 red. Both players would get the 4 points. But let's say the tie was caused because it was 2 gear links for red and a worker and a gear link being the 2 for this side. The tie would actually be broken by the number of gear links that are connected. So in this case, red would win because they have more gear link connections to this city tile and they would get the 4 points. But remember, if it's a total tie like this, where it's 2 to 2, then both players would get the 4 points. So that's how that would work. So you get points from this, plus you get points for any developments that say Endgame. So if it says Endgame, you get a point for this or that. You would add those, along with the tokens that you have, and along with all of the points for the 9 different city tiles. And at that point, whoever has the most wins the game. Thank you very much for checking out City of Gears. If you have any questions, please reach out. I will be happy to answer questions. I apologize if I misspoke or said anything funny or goofy. But I'm happy to help if anyone has any questions about City of Gears by Gray Fox Games.